bringing you key insights, tips, and advice from the brightest minds in the Canadian franchise industry. This is the Franchise Canada Chats podcast. I'm Angela Coté, your host of the Franchise Canada Chats podcast, where we take you into the world of franchising. Our interviews are with franchisees, franchisors, and industry leaders who give on-the-pulse expert advice and share their franchising insights and experiences. Hello, Angela Coté here, and I am excited to bring you Paul Paquette, Country Manager of InXpress, and Chad Bishop, Shipping Consultant and Franchise Owner-Operator in Calgary of InXpress. Just for context, a little background, my mission is to help franchisors and franchisees optimize performance and profitability by ensuring that they bring the right franchisees onto the team and ensuring that they have the best support and coaching to hit their goals and become raving fans. Now, my background comes from an upbringing with the family business, M&M Food Market, which my dad is the founder of, and we grew to almost 500 locations over the years. I'm just telling you this so you've got some context as you hear us work through the interview today, and just so you're understanding where all this background comes from. And I have to say that when I first started advising businesses for franchisors, one of the first things I did is I joined the CFA, as my dad had always raved about the education, the connections, and the support we got from the CFA. So I'm really excited to be here with fellow CFA members to continue to learn and hear their stories and have some fun. So Paul and Chad, are you guys ready to get rolling?
Absolutely, Angela. And again, thanks for having us here. We're excited.
I'm very excited to be here and talk about InXpress and what the opportunities have given me. So thank you very much.
Awesome. Well, let's start, Paul, with you. Just for context, can you tell us a little bit about the InXpress concept and what makes it so unique within the shipping and logistics industry? Because I know that you guys are really growing like crazy, an amazing company. So what is it and what makes it unique in the industry?
Thanks, Angela. So just a bit of a background to, just so everybody understands where we're going with this. InXpress was actually founded back in 1999 in Manchester, England by the Thompson family. So what's unique about this, it was a father, son, and daughter startup business. So John, Adam, and Zoe, the daughter, started the business. And they heard of a very similar business back in the US. And they said, you know what? I like this concept. I like this model, but what we're going to do is we're going to put it on steroids and we're going to bring this to more of a global scale, which they did. And for the first 5-6 years, business was doing extremely well in the UK. And they said, you know what, off to the US, here we come. So in 2006, which is where Dustin Hanson joined the very first franchise for InXpress outside of the UK. And in 2009, it expanded from there, from the US, into the vision of the global expansion, where it opened up in Australia, moved over to New Zealand, India, Hong Kong, Vietnam, the Netherlands, and it has now brought us to where InXpress operates in 14 countries with nearly 500 franchisees right across the world. So it's a unique concept, and the model for InXpress is the passion that InXpress has for helping the small and mid-sized businesses thrive. So they believe that these small and mid-sized businesses are the businesses that fuel the economic engine for the world. And it provides the greatest opportunity for employment and development. So the mission was for the SMEs, the small, medium-sized enterprises, to become more profitable and expand and provide employment opportunities and create wealth for the SMEs. And by doing that, InXpress was able to assist them by providing some trusted carriers right across the world, both on a domestic and an international basis, by allowing them to provide, to operate their business using InXpress with a discounted format. So they're now able to play in a big world as far as getting discounted volume rates with some of our trusted partners like DHL, the UPSs of the world, the FedEx, Canpar, and just a large number of other partners that we have. So that has allowed these small, medium-sized businesses now to become competitive in this ongoing changing environment that we live with.
Paul, so I got to ask, is what you're saying then that the focus on the small and medium enterprises is that a big part of what makes it unique, or maybe it is what makes it unique?
It is absolutely what makes us unique. Is we are out helping local, privately owned business owners. We're a company we're a franchise business that is small, medium-sized business owners helping small, medium-sized business owners right over the world.
Got it. That is so awesome just to understand that better. And you touched on Dustin Hanson, the CEO of InXpress Americas. I know him. He's an amazing young CEO who understands culture, leadership. I know actually a number of people on the leadership team in the US. And when I heard that we were going to be interviewing you today, I was really excited, and Chad as well, to learn a little bit more about the culture and the purpose. So we'll get more into that as we go. But maybe Paul, just before we move into, I want to hear Chad's story as well. But tell us a little bit about your role at InXpress. So what is country manager?
So I'm the country manager for Canada, and I work out of our Canadian head office in Burlington with the head office team underneath me. And our role, and it's not just myself, it's the whole head office team, which is what's important for me. It's not about me. We have a solid team of experts that work here out of our head office team. And our goal is to help support our franchisees, encourage them, ensure they have the right tools to manage and operate their business successfully. I'm out there always trying to figure out different ways so that we can improve our service offerings, our overall business growth for our franchisees and customers. So my ultimate role, besides the support, is just to work with everybody so that we can continue the rapid growth that we have been seeing over the last 18 months with this pandemic that we've been going through.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to give you a shout out right now because I know a number of the leadership team. One of them, her name is Christina Chambers, and she's the one of the franchise recruitment people there. And she spoke very highly of you. And I told her that I was interviewing you. So she said, Paul is amazing, a great leader, and somebody that, that really cares about the franchisees. Like she literally said this, I'm not making it up. She said, he really cares. So I'm really excited to get to spend time with you right now. And so speaking of franchisees, though, let's go over to Chad, because I'd love to hear your story. I always love to hear, what was it that led you to choose the brand you're with? And the reason I love hearing it is because our audience, especially here, is a lot of people that are thinking about becoming a franchisee, but they don't know how to do it or how to finally, decide who to partner with. And sometimes it's a little more obvious, like a new mom might become a franchisee of a mom's fitness business. And she was a client and she thought, oh, this is good. And, or people love dogs, so they search out a dog franchise concept. But when it comes to shipping, I don't know if it's because you loved the idea of shipping, Chad. I'm wondering, it might not seem on the surface that there's, oh, I love shipping. So why did you choose InXpress? Tell us a little bit about your story.
Oh, thanks, Angela. My brother Garrett and we attended the Calgary franchise show looking to join a partnership and work for ourselves. There are many different franchises in the franchise companies at the show, and we discussed the low overhead InXpress model with no overhead, little staffing requirements, no assets, and no immediate brick and mortar storefront to have. So it was an easy choice. Having dealt with LTL and small parcel carriers in my previous roles made me realize that carriers were lacking customer service. They really didn't truly care about the customer's needs. So with the InXpress model, we were able to find a way to bring that service level back to the industry. And I guess that's the biggest reason why we went that route, low overhead and bringing something that was missing in the industry.
That's awesome. That's a good reminder for me that is often something that draws people going, there's a market opportunity here. I see the market opportunity, but combined with the low like the low overhead, you're hitting on a really important point for anybody that's listening, that's thinking, I'm thinking of becoming a friend, or I'd like to own my own business, or I've heard this word franchise, and I'm learning that it doesn't always mean like a quick service restaurant, and that I don't have to have $500,000 to become a small business owner, that I can get into small business, again, I shouldn't say again, but as we always say in franchising, for yourself, but not by yourself. And so when you were having the initial conversations, you're at this trade show and speaking with the InXpress team, was there also a feeling that, like, there's all the analytical, the data that, I like the model, I like there's a market opportunity here. Was there also kind of a feeling like, yeah, this feels right? Or was it more about the numbers and the metrics and the data?
No, I think the biggest thing was that right from the person at the franchise show to the initial discovery period with InXpress, you could see the model that was working for many other individuals, and the unity of a company. No matter how far we're spread out across the world, there's still unity. You can feel that you have the ability to speak with somebody, whether it be the US or in Canada, one of the original franchise owners in Canada. It was really just that team environment that you miss lots in a corporate world, but in a franchise system, it was really there.
And sadly, not every franchise system has that. And that's what's so amazing about InXpress. And I bring that up because, again, we hear this all the time with prospective franchisees thinking, like, how do I know at the end of the day, like, how do I take that leap? And so I think it's a formula of, there's this due diligence that you do on sort of the hard data or the technical, tactical things that you're looking at. And then for you, there was this sense of team and collaboration and feeling like, yeah, I know I can do that. So that's actually perfect, because I wanted to ask, are you able to give any examples of things that the home office team that you have felt, Chad, that you have seen or felt that helps you feel more a part of this team?
Well, I think first off, the franchisees right across America or Canada, you can reach out to them and they'll answer questions that you have or help you troubleshoot. I know when we were looking at a second unit of owning, we reached out to a couple multi-franchise owners in the US, and they gave us the pros and cons, and we didn't know them from Adam, but they were willing to work with us. And then I think just working through the process of InXpress's discovery to realize who you're meeting with and who cares about your future and what they can provide for you. I think that was just the two biggest sellers for us.
That's amazing. And I always, like, when you look at a franchise opportunity, I would always look for, is there that collaboration? Because if there isn't, then there's a real missed opportunity, because there's all these franchisees running the same business in different markets, facing the same challenges. So the franchisor should be providing opportunities to bring you together and leverage that. So that's amazing. And I hear you guys have really good conferences as well.
Maybe.
We hope you're enjoying this episode so far. Did you know that Franchise Canada has a newsletter sent twice a month that's packed full of fresh franchise opportunities? With Franchise Canada e-News, you get new content from Franchise Canada magazine, franchisee success stories, industry news about CFA members, educational videos all about franchising, and you can keep up to date on the newest episodes of the Franchise Canada Chats podcast that you're listening to right now. Plus, by subscribing to Franchise Canada e-News, you get a free subscription to Franchise Canada magazine. Subscribe now at franchisecanada.online. Now, back to the podcast episode you are enjoying. I've actually, so again, Dustin Hanson, the CEO of InXpress Americas, actually did a talk at the CFA annual convention, which happens every April. Maybe about 4 years ago, I met him, and his talk was to help other franchisors with how to run a convention or conference that draws people in, and how do you make it so they want to come back, which is a common challenge for franchisors. And it sounds like InXpress has that well figured out. So actually, that leads perfectly into my next question for you, Paul. You know, I am a big believer myself in the importance of fostering a really positive culture, and that culture trickles throughout the company. And I imagine that it explains a lot of the exciting growth that InXpress has had in Canada. So maybe if you could speak to some of what you do at InXpress to ensure that your customers have a positive and satisfying experience, because it sounds like it starts in the home office and trickles down to the customer level. So what are some things, that you do to ensure that for the customer?
Great question, Angela, and something that for me personally, I'm very passionate about. I'm a very big believer in company culture, which is one of the things that definitely attracted myself to the company. But it's important for us to make sure that the people feel excited about coming to work. And if you look at a 24-hour workday, 24-hour day, 8 hours of it is work. So you're spending 30% of your time, at work with your colleagues. So it's important that they feel that they're making a difference. And, for myself personally, I wake up in the morning, I wake up for two reasons. The first reason why I wake up is for myself. It's to make a positive impact on Paul Paquette. And the second reason why I wake up in the morning is to make a positive impact on others. So the culture of InXpress and my beliefs is just a beautiful match. And the people need to make sure that they feel that they're making a difference. And to do that, we have to be able to trust the people that work for us, our staff, and the trust comes by empowering them to do their job, to learn from it. They're not always going to do things right. They're going to make mistakes. But by empowering them, they feel that they're part of the team and they're making a difference. And the Canadian team here, I can't be more proud of the team that we have at head office, and specifically the franchisees. They, through this whole global pandemic, they've been nothing but resilience. They've been able to shift their business and try new things. And most importantly, they've accepted and followed some of the new processes that have been put in place during this pandemic. And because of that, InXpress franchisees and InXpress corporate have been able to sustain some substantial growth during this pandemic. And, we're recording some historic numbers for Canada this year. And by doing that, head office here, we've been able to bring on 5 new franchisees into our system this year. We've been able to double our head count at head office, and we couldn't have done that without our franchisees out there. And they're the ones that are out there, in the trenches, selling themselves, selling our service, selling our value. And the other part of our business, where I think a lot of people sometimes forget to talk about, is the partners that we have behind us. And we have some of the best partners right across the world as far as our carrier partners, such as the DHLs, the Purelators, UPSs, the Campars, that are allowing us to meet our customers' needs, exceed our customers' needs without missing a beat during this whole thing. So I'm very proud with everything that we have here in Canada.
Yeah, and InXpress, I have the fortune of spending time every week with a lot of franchisors in a roundtable that I run. And again, I'm mentioning Christina Chambers. Again, she's on the leadership team, works for Dustin Hanson in the U.S. And throughout when everybody else's businesses were just halted to grinding to a halt, she's like, we're growing. So I'd like to call it a pretty pandemic proof business. It's a very, it's a very essential needs business, which if anybody's thinking, is that a business I want to, when you're looking at businesses, not to, there are a lot of businesses, franchise companies made it through because they're a franchise, because they had the support of each other. But then the ones that are a service like yours really thrived. And so it's definitely a great opportunity. So I just want to zero in a little bit more though on the customer experience. So as a customer, like what are some things you do at InXpress to ensure that your customers have a good experience? Are there actually, I'm just thinking back to my days at M&M, we had certain rules that we followed in a fun way, but customers were greeted within a certain number or really seconds of entering the door. We made sure we acknowledged them. And then we always thanked them instead of people saying, oh, thank you. And they walked away, and people would, often companies would, oh, you're welcome. No, we would say, no, thank you. You came and shopped with us. So is there anything that you can speak to of a specific example of your customers' experience?
What comes to mind for me is our customers, they're picking up a phone number and they're dialing that phone number and they're getting chat on the other line. They're not getting an automated number. They're not going through push extension 3, then push extension 1. They're dealing with the owner of a company. They're dealing directly with a live person. They can call them any time of the day. And that is huge, especially in the logistics service industry, because nothing's perfect in this world. And especially now with everything going on with shipments coming out of China, you're reading and hearing all over the news right now with the abundance of containers that are left in the ocean. They're talking to someone live, and they're talking to someone that cares because it's their business. And it just keeps coming back to the culture. So it's our people. We have some of the best people in my 30 years in the logistics world that I have seen in this company. And we're proud of them. And at corporate here, we're here to back them. We're supporting them. If they have challenges or issues, they can pick up the phone and call Paul Paquette, or they can pick up the phone and call anybody in our office, and we answer. So we're front and center. And I think that's the biggest thing for us, which is what's making us successful.
That's fantastic. Yeah. So it's the franchisees and the people on the team that can access whoever they need, but also your customers can access a real human. And I just had some flashbacks to, recently, especially with all the, during the pandemic, a lot of, things got automated and became more technical and technological, but to hear that there's still a human involved is really powerful. And Chad, I also would like to ask you, when it comes to this collaboration, you said that you can pick up the phone and call other franchise owners. We referenced the conferences earlier. When it comes to things that happen for collaboration and culture, what's something that stands out for you? Is it that you get the most out of? Is there a monthly Zoom call or anything like that, or the conference itself, you leave feeling energized and connected? Maybe you can speak to that collaboration.
So I think that, as every business owner knows, you have your peaks and valleys in dealing with the business. And by the end of the year, sometimes you can feel really defeated. So with the conference or the convention being in a warm place in typically March in the US, for me, it's a great place to get re-energized, speak with top performers, and just hear what's coming down the pipeline of exciting news and really bring that back with me. And that usually lasts the entire year, just because of normal business and personal life stuff that you get deflated after a while. So that convention is the biggest thing. And then in Canada, I have a couple key franchisees that I connect with and just work with to find out how they've dealt with issues, or how they've re-engaged customers that they have potentially lost out on, or anything like that. So it's just really a great dynamic, a team environment. And with that team environment, I also present that to my customers. I act like an extension of their team so that they know we're working together for their best interest. And that really builds the trust for them.
That's amazing. I love it. You're speaking my language with this, having a few franchisees that you reached out to. When I was I don't know if I mentioned this, but I was a franchisee for 18 years of M&M Eat Shops, family business. And I was 25 years old. And I remember like, how do I get the employees to listen to me? How do I get the employees to like follow the rules and all these things? And so I found other franchisees in the system through the help of my, what we called at the time, field consultant, or a field person, and said like, who can I call to get help with this? And the next thing you know, the person that I connected with became a mentor that I could reach. And then I think I became a mentor and almost to her in that, she was learning from my questions. So that's one of the just amazing things about franchising is that built-in network. So, so Chad, what do you love most about being an InXpress franchisee?
It's really hard to narrow it down to one thing of what I love about InXpress. So I'm going to give you top three, if that's okay.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, for sure.
So self-employment really gives me the freedom to have a great work-life balance. InXpress provides the best training and knowledge out of any company that I've worked for or with in my 35 years of working life. Simply, if you follow the steps of the business itself, it's a winning model. I truly enjoy speaking with my peers, and we both receive and provide guidance. Our leaders make it easy to connect with them. And again, our conferences are educational and it really that key opportunity to get re-engaged in the business and feel good about what you're doing.
Awesome. That's really helpful to understand. The training and support is something that we might want to just go a little deeper on, because again, that, anybody that's thinking of becoming a franchisee, they're like, what does that mean that you're going to help me get up and running? What are you actually going to do? So Chad, can you speak to it a little bit to like what your initial training was like?
For sure. So there's the initial boot camp, and that's what they referenced it to as when I started in 2017. I don't know what they referenced to it as now, but it was getting engaged with the system. Obviously, there's software that you work with, and there's also the sales model that InXpress teaches you. You definitely have to alter it to suit your personal needs and your regional needs, because every region's different. But the base of what you're trying to do for customers is relevant in anywhere you go. So I guess that would be where I'd have to lead off at.
Yeah. And then obviously I've heard already a lot of ways that you get the ongoing support through the leadership team, through the fellow franchisees and wherever else you can get it and need it. So that's awesome. I'm going to switch gears a little bit here. So you are now a multi-unit franchisee, and it's always an interesting thing because sometimes people go in thinking I'm just going to own one, or maybe eventually I might grow to have a couple more territories. Whereas other people come in really planning, I'm going to be growing this big. For you, how did that come about? Like, did you have success with one and then go, I want to kind of grow here?
So the biggest reason of obtaining a second franchise, it already had a customer base in place. And it was an early way to get cash flow injected into our business. With that being said, it allowed me to grow the brand new franchise and have that cash flow influx to support the business. I was able to reach out to customers that were already shipping, get a feel what they liked and didn't like about shipping with the previous owner of that second unit. I use that feedback to interact with new customers and figure out how best to meet their needs. I may have underestimated splitting my time between the two franchises, between retaining customers and building the customer base, but in the end, it served us well.
That's great. I went through this experience myself, going from one to two and then actually to a third one. And I think it's important if people, to think about your leadership skills and like there's more to it. You're kind of moving out of the business a little bit, aren't you? Like, have you had to figure out, and I'm sure through support again from your amazing leadership team, but how do I not be so hands-on in the business? Is that something you had to work through?
Yeah, for sure. With having the second franchise with the customer base already there, it allows us the cash flow to bring on a customer service person, because as the initial face of the company, I was the cold call person, I was the salesperson, I was the customer service person, and I was dealing with everything related to the business. So that second franchise gave us the influx of cash to help bring on a customer service person that took a lot of the day-to-day things off my plate so that I could simply focus on growing the businesses.
That's a really important point, because I think when people start, you picture yourself, well, I guess some people picture themselves just turnkey. I'm going to get a franchise and go sit in the back and make phone calls. And, that's not what it's like. And we'll come to that a little bit more in a minute. But, you get in there and you do the grind, and other people, I guess some people picture themselves just working in the business. And so it's something for people to think about in advance, that, if there are opportunities to grow, you can get into new territories, and you could have eventually 10 of these if you figure out how to step back and put people in place, like you just said, like a customer service representative. You might not have an answer to this, but I'm curious if you think you'll grow into more territories at some point.
There's always that possibility, but we have to make sure what we have, we're doing better before we grow into another one.
That's a good answer. I think a lot of people, they grow, they have more territories, but they make less money. So you've got to do it right first, and then move on. Paul, did you want to add anything to that, just on the topic of the multi-unit, helping people go from 1 to 2 to 3 or whatever it is?
The only thing I would add is, I really encourage people to, consider that multi-unit concept. But before they get into it, they really have to, think about themselves, how this is going to fit into their business, and about putting the right people in the right spot. So Chad mentioned, he had the ability to bring on a customer service rep. So the model is there. The model works. It's a proven model. And I just encourage people to, because entrepreneurs take risks. That's why entrepreneurs are in risks. So, to take that second risk sometimes is a little nervous for people. They've already taken that first risk, but you've already done it. You've proven it works for the first one. Let's go do it again. And you're employing people too, which is another very powerful thing. You're impacting people's lives. And, to be able to sit back and say, I've impacted this individual's life with their spouse, their children, look at the lifestyle they have now. What a great success story that is.
You know what? I'm really glad you brought that up. I meant to bring this up because, again, shipping, it's like, if you're running a senior care program, you're helping seniors. It feels very purpose driven, or a fitness, you're helping people be healthy. And I think what I've heard again, over and again from people that on that leadership team is that there's this real feeling of purpose that the franchisees get, in that they're helping customers, but they're also providing these employment opportunities and growing teams. And Chad, I'm sure, like your customer service representative, you're fostering growth in them as well as you continue to grow the business. I wanted to also go back to something I forget which one of you said it earlier, but you just said it for sure, Paul, about the model. And when we look at franchise systems and we look at who are the top performers, funny thing is, it's usually the ones who just follow the system, and sorry, just by system, I want to clarify, we mean wearing the uniform and the sort of the obvious things, but we also mean when a franchise owner says, how do I get customers in the door? And you say, this is what you do. Here are things you can do to get customers. Let's get a plan in place, what you're going to do. Well, guess what? If you don't do that, you're not going to get customers. So there's some hard work involved, but it's kind of easy work. I shouldn't say easy, but easy in that you've got that person telling you what you need to do. So I heard you say that. I just want to really emphasize that if you follow the model, that's where then you'll end up as the top performer. I hear over and over again.
It's so true. And, I think it's even before following the model, you got to even take a step further back and say, am I the right fit for this franchise? You know what? Am I what they're looking for? So it's not always just, I want to buy an InXpress franchise and I'm going to make lots of money. You know what? Are you the right fit? One of the new things we're doing this year, we're just in the midst of launching in the next 30 days, is we're doing self-assessments on all our franchisees, owners, and any up and coming franchisees to see that they're a right fit. Because the last thing you want, as a franchisor, as a leader of the country, is to bring in franchisees that are not successful. You want people to be successful. So we've taken a slight different approach this year where we're assessing people. And from those assessment results, our national sales manager, our coaching team that we have here at head office is going to be using this new model to provide continuous coaching, continuous training, along with the model process that's already working. So we're just adding another layer, another component to make sure everybody's successful. And that's going to be announced this year at our convention where we all have fun.
Where you have fun. Although you just announced it here. So
it's just between us for now.
Yeah, just between the three of us. Okay. But all kidding aside, I hear you. And one of the things in my business, like I mentioned at the beginning, I'm trying to help people with how to figure that out, that how do you get a person, how do you assess whether this person is going to be a high performer? And again, it's not because we want them to be a high performer so we make money. We want them to be a high performer as a franchisor because the number one driver of franchise company growth is profitable, happy franchisees. So everybody needs to win. That's the only way it works. So how do we look at a Chad and go, Chad, like, what does he need to have to be successful? And now you have franchisees that are successful. So what I'm hearing is you're assessing their traits and then seeing if the new people coming in, do you have those traits? Okay, cool. And so I created a resource about the 10 traits of a top performing, the DNA of a top performing franchisee. It's available on my website if anyone wants to go find it. I'd love for you someday to, Paul, look at that and see if how you can grade me and see if I got everything. But it's basically in general what makes a good franchisee. It's not necessarily for, sometimes there's going to be brand specific, like maybe in InXpress, I'm just throwing it out there. Maybe having a bit of comfort level with technology might be something, but in a childcare, well, you have to kind of like kids, right? Or if it's something to do with dogs, you kind of have to like dogs. But there is this foundational DNA that makes a good franchisee. Now, you guys are taking that to the next level and looking at your own franchisees and saying, what are the traits we see of the top performers so that when we bring people in, they're going to be happy and they're going to be successful. So that segues perfect into this next question that I wanted to ask is, Chad, for you, was there anything that you underestimated about business ownership prior to becoming a franchisee? And I'm gonna plant a seed you can maybe talk about, but you don't have to. But we already kind of hit on it a bit that it's a franchise. There's a system. Like even with M&M, people would say, "Oh, that's it. You just turn the light on and away you go. Customers are going to come in the door." And I was like, "No, we actually had to work hard." So I think that's one of the myths, is that it's not going to be hard work. I don't know if you had that in your head or if there's anything else that even stood out more.
So I think the biggest thing about underestimating the franchise or my business itself is that because I wore so many hats at the beginning, I was everything. Customers to this date still contact me because I'm the owner. Even though I have two other key players with my business, my partner, Garrett, who is also an owner, and my customer service rep, Tracy, they're very knowledgeable. They know everything that I know, and we all run into things that we don't know, and we have key contacts at all of our carriers or head office that we get the answers that we need for our customers. So it's an ever evolving knowledge that you're gaining for your customers. But I didn't realize that customers would be so sticky to speak with Chad. And it's nothing against my colleagues because they're all great. It's just how the business evolved. And as we grow our business and our customer base, all three of us are focused on making those relationships for our customers to any three of us in our specific business, so that they feel comfortable and trustworthy speaking with anybody, knowing that they can get back to them within a certain time period and give them the answers that they need. So that's basically.
Yeah. I am flashing back when I would hop into my store when I hadn't been there for a little while, and the customers like, "You're here," like they couldn't believe it. And I think the main point there, that the nugget, the takeaway is that's a huge part of why the franchise model is so fantastic, is that you connect with people and they know that you're the one they're supporting. It's not, I'm supporting some corporate office in Mexico or whatever, like far away somewhere I don't know. There's a human there. Back to this human people connection, that's why it works. So that was a great point. Really good insights.
And I think further to your second part where you wanted me to think, I think the biggest thing to be successful is running with the plan that the franchisor gives, working that to fit your needs, but also being self-motivated, self-driven, disciplined, so that you're not taking time off because you own your own business, that you're really driving that business forward. And I mean, really just get up, get dressed, and get out there is the easiest thing I can say to any prospect business owner, because if you don't want to do it, then it's not going to work for you having a name of InXpress. People aren't just going to flood to you. You still have to do all the hard work to grow that business name and your own image.
I love that you pointed that out, because that is probably one of the biggest misconceptions I think people have that franchisors are trying to help their franchisees with, is like, you still got to get out there. You still have to put in the time. So Paul, I'd love to hear if you have anything to add to that as well.
The only thing I would add is, most people, I bought a franchise, I'm going to sit back, I'm going to go on a boat and I'm just going to watch the money come in. It doesn't work that way. It's sweat equity. You got to put in the sweat equity to make this work. And you got to Chad's point, you got to have the drive, the passion, and the willingness. But the neat thing that I like seeing and hearing from everybody, and Chad mentioned, is customers still want to call him. They want to call him directly. That's a trust factor. That's a difference with InXpress that we have with our customers. We have direct relationships, direct rapport with them, that they don't want to talk to anybody else but us. And it says a lot about our Canadian team that we have out there representing themselves and the InXpress brand. And,
right.
It's something to be proud of, because that's earned.
Gotcha. Yeah. Yeah. And so when that customer is sitting there, Chad's customer that knows Chad, and he or she is sitting there thinking, maybe I'll try the competitor. They're popping up in my, Facebook feed or whatever. But no, I want to support Chad, and I want to support his business and his family and his team. So again, this is why franchising is so amazing. Because if it was a corporate model, there wouldn't be a Chad. I mean, there might be someone coming and going, but because he's invested in this, he's there, right? He's there for the long term. So there's another plug for InXpress, because you guys are awesome, and plug for franchising, the franchise model in general. We're going to wrap it up here. Again, I can't resist giving another shout out to the CFA for their amazing work they're doing to help people understand, small business ownership is a lot more accessible than people think. There's amazing brands out there that are lower investment, low overhead, like InXpress, and with great team cultures. And, it takes sometimes take a little leap of faith, but look at Chad. He's sitting here looking pretty happy to me. Yeah. So thank you so much, Paul and Chad, for being here. And I will we'll wrap it up here.
Thank you, Angela.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for listening. For more franchising resources, including how-to articles, expert advice, franchisee success stories, and franchise opportunities, visit franchisecanada.online. Don't forget to subscribe to Franchise Canada e-news while you're there. You can also learn more about franchising at cfa.ca and connect with specific franchise opportunities at lookforafranchise.ca. Now go be awesome.